Welcome to TNCRadio.live on a Wednesday night, and this is Taillights with Larry and Angie Baum.
Welcome, you guys. We are back for another awesome Wednesday. Almost an awful.
No, it's definitely not awful.
No, I'm your host, Angie, and this is Larry.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in.
And we have with us a good friend of ours, Jessica. And Jessica, we're going to let you introduce yourself and just tell everybody just a little bit about you as far as being a truck driver, and just kind of let everybody get to know you a little bit.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Jessica. I drive solo. I run a reefer unit. I travel with my dog, Pudge. I started driving. I got my CDL in 2008, did it on and off till 2017 when I went back at it full time, and then I was hauling containers. Money dropped out of containers, and then I started hauling reefers OTR.
Awesome. Now, do you drive all over the country, or do you have kind of an area that you run most of the time?
I'm a Southeast regional driver, but with my company, they do sometimes ask me to run the Northeast, and I do it without a problem. I do go to Chicago, Kentucky. I've been to Texas with them, so I do go outside my region. They do compensate me for it, but you know, New Jersey ain't a thing no more. New York ain't a thing no more. You know, just used to it all by now.
I always
travel Atlanta a lot.
Yeah, if you can make it through Atlanta, New Jersey, New York, you've got it made.
Yep. It's definitely helped me become a stronger driver out here. I used to be scared of the Northeast. I'm not worried anymore. You pull up your map book, you pull up your GPS, you watch for the signs for low bridges, and you're good to go.
Yeah, that's the most important thing out in that area, the low bridges.
I'm still afraid of that area.
Yeah, he almost took the top off of one of our trailers when we were in New York one night.
I went through that very, very slow.
Yes, he did.
I'm not going to say all of them, but I heard that most of the bridges up in New York, I want to say, have a 1 foot snow allowance. So if it's 12.6, and it's actually 13.6, like somewhere right by the George Washington Bridge, I want to say, because I always freak out when I go through there because I see the sign 12.6, but they have a foot for snow allowance. So it's actually 13.6 bridge. It's something like that. I don't remember the exact details on it, but yeah.
That makes sense. Especially in New York with all the snow. So we've just kind of been talking on Facebook, and we've been friends for a while, but we actually just met in person this week, and I finally got to meet your adorable dog. So you actually have 3 dogs, but right now you've got one with you. You want to tell everybody a little bit about Mr. Pudge?
Mr. Pudge is a rescue. I got him when he was almost 3 years old. I was his 4th owner in less than 3 years. There's really not a reason for it. I mean, he barks at people, but for that, Pudge, you know, he's calm for the most part, mellow. He does bark at people to alert me when people are around. He's actually a registered service dog. He does help me when I have anxiety. If my leg bothers me a little bit, I tell him to help me walk. He can walk next to me and help me walk. If I need balance, he does that. But normally I don't have those issues. Yeah,
that is one big dog.
He's about 100 pounds right now. He's going to be 6 in April.
Wow.
He's an American Staffordshire Terrier.
I can't believe the way he climbs up in the truck. That was incredible.
Yeah, he hopped in Angie and Larry's truck the other day. They were both surprised. He just hopped right in.
I was talking.
He was looking for the bed.
Yes. How big he was, and the stairs were like no issue. He's like, whatever, I'm climbing up into Angie.
Yeah, he doesn't have a problem with them. Ruckus don't have a problem with them. Wiggles, she could jump out of the truck finally. She's my other rescue pit bull. About 35 pounds right now. She's currently staying with a friend. We're trying to get my broken foot to heal, so she's currently staying with my friend while I am on the road, and then when I go home, I take her home, you know. And then I pay puppy support, we call it, so I buy all her food, all her treats, all her toys, and it's wonderful. She gets along with the dogs, and she has playmates, and she's happy over there.
I was going to mention a couple months ago, you did break your foot. You broke your left foot. You want to tell everybody how you did that?
June 4th.
And you've been working ever since on a broken foot.
Yeah, I took 10 days off. I broke it on June 4th. It was honestly a lot of ways my fault. Pudge does get excited, and where I was at, he's used to being able to get out and play and run. And I have to tell him sit, stay, and he stays in the seat until I get all the way down. Well, I forgot to tell him that morning. And I was carrying Wiggles out of the truck, and I did not have 3 points of contact, which is very important. And he hit my arm when I had a hold of the grab bar, and I fell sideways out of the truck and broke the bone on my left foot on the side. It's actually the hardest bone to heal.
Yeah, you're having really
tendons, and it keeps pulling it all the time. Yeah, it has healed very minimal, but I finally got out of the walking boot last month. I have another checkup here in a few days to see how it's doing.
It's a good thing you don't have that third pedal down there.
Yeah, I'd still be out here trucking. I'm not even gonna lie that Sunday don't kill me. I was going crazy. I would have been back in here a few hours later if my company would have let me, but they didn't let me, so I had to take 10 days off.
I was gonna say I don't think there's much out there that would stop Jessica.
No, definitely not.
Oh, I did want to mention real quick
the
also
biggest struggle.
Go ahead.
The biggest struggle I've had with the broken foot is getting in and out of my trailer, mostly getting out, not in, because of my height and everything. The way I got to get out, I kind of got to jump out per se, and so that hurts,
Oh yeah, that's a lot of pressure putting on your foot.
Mm-hmm.
Ouch.
Yeah. It would help if I was to get stairs or a ladder, but I just haven't got one yet because I keep forgetting every time I go home.
Yeah. So one of the things, now you do have 3 dogs, and they kind of, like you said, they switch in and out with you as far as who goes with you, but they are all pit bull breeds. And so I know a lot of trucking companies have got real issues with pit bulls. Did you have a hard time finding a good company to work for that did allow you to have a pit bull?
I had a very hard time finding a company. Maybe for every 20 companies I called, maybe one would say yes, and that's a big maybe. And it was either the weight restriction or the breed restriction, because Pudge, even before I had 3 of them, Pudge is 100 pounds. So he was overweight, he's not overweight, he's just Pudge, or he was restricted because of his breed. Even though he's American Staffordshire Terrier, he's still a pit bull. Right. And a lot of companies do not want that.
Yeah. I've heard that from a lot of people.
Companies, one might tell me they might hire me. And it's more the breed than the weight. But a lot of it has to do with the breed too, which is a shame.
Well, one of the things you and I have talked a lot about is, because I've got my dogs and you've got your dogs. And one of the things we talk about a lot is how much the dogs help us out here, especially, between the loneliness and the anxiety, and I think you kind of are the same way with your dogs.
Yes, Pudge helps me out a lot. He helps me, day to day, just not being alone out here. And, he makes me laugh. And that's a big thing out here, to laugh, be happy, because we are alone. And, I mean, you could be a team and you could still feel alone. Larry's sleeping or Angie's sleeping when the other one's driving, and you're just driving. And, sometimes you don't have anyone on the phone to talk to. You're missing your family. You're missing your children or your grandchildren. And that's a big thing out here. And having a pet out here of any kind, a bird, dog, cat, I wouldn't recommend a fish because moving water is not good. But,
I think we've seen
a hamster, just anything.
I think we've seen just about every pet out here. We've seen monkeys, we've seen birds, we've seen dogs, cats, squirrels, raccoons. I think I've seen drivers have just about every animal out here.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them. So,
yeah,
but they do help us with our anxiety. It helps with depression. It forced us to get out of the truck and walk our dogs. We can't just sit in here. They got to go outside and go potty. So,
yeah, they're relying.
It has a lot of health benefits too, having them out here. Mental health and physical health.
My next pet is going to be a spider monkey.
Oh no, we're not getting a monkey. I'm having a hard time.
Lights in the bunk.
Yeah, I'm having.
If you could get your cow, I could get a spider monkey.
No, okay, no cow then. I've been wanting. I've been telling him when we retire, I want to get a pet cow. That's not going well.
Yeah. No, he wants a spider monkey now.
I know. So I was going to give you a chance to, on TikTok, what is your TikTok name in case people wanted to follow you?
It is Hurricane Bunny 1.
I love your name. And then you also have a Facebook page.
It used to be Hurricane Bunny, and then I got a new phone, forgot the password. So it used to be Hurricane Bunny, but it's Hurricane Bunny 1.
Okay, so you're pulling a Larry. Larry does that too. He keeps making up new Facebook accounts because he can't remember his passwords.
Pretty much every time I get a new phone.
And what's your
That happens.
What's your Facebook page in case people want to follow you?
I want to say it's Trucking with Jess, Pudge, and Wiggles. I think that's how it's wrote. Yep. Trucking with Jess, Pudge, and Wiggles.
Yeah, so you guys can see Jessica and her 3 dogs there and get to see her life out on the road as a solo female driver. So we're going to take a break here in just a few minutes, Jess. And when we come back, we're going to talk and kind of change the subject a little bit and talk about the death of a guy who actually taught you how to drive and get into trucking. So when we come back with Taillights with the Baums, we'll continue our conversation with Jess. We'll be back in just a few moments.
Driving 11 hours a day, 7 days a week can be emotionally and physically exhausting. Sleep is a very important part of a long-haul truck driver's life. Being well-rested and alert makes driving a lot safer for both the trucker and other drivers on the road. Getting enough sleep may sound easier than it seems. Living on the road makes it difficult to get the recommended 8 hours of sleep. In fact, it's common for truckers to not get 8 hours of sleep due to the 11-hour work shift. To help, we've put together 5 tips to help truckers stay awake while driving. Take vitamins. One way truckers can stay awake while driving is by taking vitamins. Not only are vitamins good energy boosters, they have tons of other health benefits too. Vitamin B helps with fatigue, depression, mood boosting, and muscle weakness. Consider adding vitamins to your morning routine. Eat healthy. An unhealthy diet has a huge impact on one's overall health. Dr. Jennifer Sachek says, our bodies rely on the energy and nutrients we get from food. So what you eat and how and when you eat it can either drain you or sustain you. It might be more convenient to stop at a fast food restaurant or truck stop, but constantly eating junk food drains your energy. Take a nap. Before you hit the road, consider taking a short 20-minute nap. Several studies have shown that a quick nap immediately increases alertness and gives a boost in cognitive performance. Stay hydrated. Water has many health benefits. One benefit is reducing the chance of being fatigued. Drinking a pint of cold water is a great way to refresh yourself and stay more alert. Listen to upbeat music. Listening to upbeat music will have you tapping your foot, singing along, and staying alert in no time. Avoid listening to relaxing music or audiobooks. Those tend to make drivers more relaxed and sleepy. Truckers have a very demanding job. In order to deal with the stress and demands, it's very important to get the right amount of sleep. Hopefully these 5 tips will help you stay awake while driving.
I'm Hope Savara, your host of the Driver Life Podcast, every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern on tncradio.live.
You're listening to tncradio.live. Remember to tune into the Truckers Network radio show with Shelley Johnson, weekdays at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Somebody needs to.
Welcome back to Taillights with the Baums. We're going to continue our discussion with Jessica. She's a good friend of ours, and she's been talking about her life as a trucker. And the next topic we're going to discuss is the death of a gentleman who taught you how to drive. You want to tell us a little bit about that story?
Yeah, I was 19 when I met the guy. I got my CDL when I was 22. He taught me how to drive all the way around. I made it, I think, 7 days at Warner, and I quit and got back in the truck with him for, But unfortunately, a few years ago, he had jackknifed and he went over the side of a mountain. He had seen a car come at him, and he said all he seen was the kid's face. Well, he never mentally recovered from that fully, and he actually committed suicide. And it's really heartbreaking because he couldn't see, like today, what I've turned into, what kind of truck driver I turned into. I had a really hard doc today, and normally I'd be like, I can't do this. There's a truck on one side, a wall on another side. It's really tight, no pull-up room barely. Normally I would have gave up and just told the yard dog to do it, but I did it without a problem. And it's really upsetting to see that Ryan couldn't see where I'm at today and how far I came in my career altogether.
I'm sure he'd be very proud of you.
And it's really sad. You know, I miss him. He was my fiance. Not at the time that he committed suicide, but before that, he was my fiance. You know, it's sad that I can't see how far he would have gone, and it's just a sad situation altogether. Like, mental health is a real issue out here, and it's not spoken about at all.
No, it's really not. I mean, we've discussed this so many times, how many drivers that we know that either A, are going through something, or we hear where a driver has committed suicide. Unfortunately, you know, it happens too often out here.
It does. It does.
You talked
And, I
about
mean, there's
that
always
on your
someone to
Diva show.
listen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough job. I think the hardest part for any trucker, whether you're solo, whether you're team or whatever, is the loneliness. And then if you compile that with not being able to get home for birthdays or holidays or, you know, important family events that you know you want to get home for, and of course the family's disappointed, it all that weighs on you as a truck driver. It's a hard life out here. It's not for everybody.
It does. It's extremely hard, and it does take quite a while to get used to. You're not going to get used to it in a couple months or even a couple of years. It's, you know, it's going to take a long time to get used to it.
I wanted to touch.
And you've got to have a good support system.
Absolutely. I want to touch just a little bit only because I'm so flippin' proud of you. So, and I know we weren't going to discuss this, but I'm going to discuss it just minimally. So for those of you guys that don't know, Jessica is a super strong woman. She's going to play it off as though she's not, but she is. She's a solo female driver. She's out there doing it by herself. But prior to that, she was a team driver. Things didn't go well in the relationship, and Jess made the decision to go solo. And the reason I'm saying that she's so courageous and she's so strong is that a lot of times when a woman is in a team situation and things aren't going right for them, oftentimes they'll just stay in a team situation because they don't think that they can handle it out there alone. And you said, enough's enough. I need to go do it on my own. And you did it starting in January. You went solo. And I know I've told you this a million times, but I'm going to say it again. I'm so proud of you because look how far you've come. And I think you're a role model.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was actually quite a few years ago that they happened with my ex-husband, Stepan. Me and him drove together when we did containers. And the abuse was just really bad between me and Stepan. And I just couldn't take it anymore. So I ended up leaving Stepan and just didn't have, you know, nothing at all. And I had to go out and go solo. And I didn't fully know what I was doing out here. I didn't have the experience to do it by myself, per se.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the cool thing about it is the things that you didn't know, you taught yourself, or you had other drivers help you. And I think it's courageous because a lot of women, you know, they just get in those situations and they're just like, well, they either get out of the trucking industry altogether because they don't think that they could do it on their own as a solo driver, or, you know, they just stay in a relationship that's not healthy. So I always think that, you know, we need more women like you out there that did the right thing and walked away.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to do another Diva show about that.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's a topic that we don't talk about enough. So you have been a team driver in the past. I know right now you're a solo driver. What was there any? Mm-hmm. What was one of the things you loved the most about being a team driver?
Being able to have meals together and just having someone to talk to all the time. Me and Chris are not currently teaming because he had bought his own truck. With Stepan, we really didn't do any of that stuff, and like I said, Stepan, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
do you find
I was doing that, having someone to go shopping with, you know, just walking in the truck stop together, comfort of having someone with you, not having to worry about someone approaching me that shouldn't be.
Yeah. Well, now that you're a solo driver, you know, and you're not teaming anymore per se, is it harder for you, especially being out there as a female? Do you know, I know you have your dog, which of course he's big and he looks ferocious, but he's not. You know, and I'm sure that makes you feel safer. But as a solo driver, you know, do you ever have those moments where it's kind of scary out there as a female?
It is a lot of times. I've had men approach me, ask me inappropriate things. For example, I was at Petro in Atlanta Super Bowl Sunday a few years back when I was with a different company, and this guy kept approaching me in a sexual manner, kept saying sexual things to me. He tried following my truck repeatedly. I told the security guard about it, and his answer was, "If you let me get them digits, I'll protect you, baby." And I kind of felt like I had no help at all in that situation.
Yeah. So he was almost as bad as the guy that was causing the issue in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what do you think the benefits are? I mean, if you had your choice between being solo and being team, what would be your choice? Now that you've had to do both, what do you like better?
I like both of them, but in the size truck I'm in and the amount of ducks down. I hate to say it, but solo is kind of better because I got my own space, can do my own thing, can sleep when I want, you know.
Yeah.
And I do miss the teaming situation, the aspect of having someone there with me all the time, but also this is a small environment. So
yeah, it's tough because teaming is nice because you have the camaraderie, you have somebody you can talk to. But then solo would also be nice because then it's like your truck, your space, you know where everything's at.
Yeah.
You know?
And you could have everything exactly where you want it. You know, I don't have to look for my stuff or, oh, where did this go? I can't find it. Where did that go? I can't find it, and have to ask the other person. Right. You're not in fear of waking up the other driver. Like if you got to hit the brakes hard, you don't got to worry about their safety while they're in the bunk.
Oh yeah, that's my biggest thing. I hate that because I'm the daytime driver, Larry's a nighttime driver, and I don't think he gets hardly any sleep because I'm going through accidents and construction. Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you. Oh shoot, what was my other question I had for you? I had another one. So being solo out there, and I know you said that you were regional, is there any area that you've ever been to where you're like, I hope I never go back there again?
Newark, New Jersey, and I still go there, and I still don't want to go there, and they still send me there because we have an account up there, and I'm like, I don't want to go here. Or Union City, New Jersey. Those are my two biggest places, is Newark and Union City.
Is it the toll roads or just the traffic, or?
It's the tight streets. They're really tight streets. People don't watch out for trucks, and they pull past that white line.
Oh,
that white line on the pavement is there for a reason. Do not pull past it. Truck drivers or cars, please do not pull past that white line.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, we're going to take another break here in just a few minutes. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Jess, and we're going to talk to her about her experiences when she was hauling containers, and now she's made the transition to going over the road. So we'll be back in just a few minutes with Taillights with the Baums.
Be sure to listen to Building Strong Minds with Dr. Chris, Mondays at 7.
Is a panic attack. Well, to me, it's a misnomer. Panic does not attack you. A mugger attacks you. Your auntie's chihuahua attacks you. Panic doesn't attack you. Let's begin with what panic really is and where it comes from. Panic is an exaggeration of the body's own stress response. It's preparing you to run or to fight. But what happens is we get a surge of different kinds of hormones in our body, and as a result, the blood flows to the major muscle groups, and the heart starts racing, and the chest gets all constricted, and some people talk about an elephant sitting on their chest. And then there's blood flow to the arms and legs, and there's tingling sometimes, and that's called paresthesia. And some people report that there's an intensification of light and of sound, and all those things happen, and they're scary because it feels like I'm having a heart attack, or like I'm going crazy, or that I'm going to die. And by thinking those thoughts, I make it that much worse. It's pouring gasoline on a fire. So how do we cause these things? I'll share that in the next Mental Health Minute.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel particulate filter regeneration.
the DPF catches particulates left over from combustion. The DPF regeneration cycle cleans the filter with temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. A computer sensor triggers the DPF regen, which is often accompanied by a loss of power and fuel economy. The frequency of DPF regens are in correlation to the cleanliness of the fuel burn. Under heavy operation with the dirty burn, DPF regens can occur multiple times per day. Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme Fuel Additive promotes a more complete combustion, creating fewer emissions and therefore fewer DPF regens. Vehicles using Diesel Extreme experience 83% less DPF regens.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, Fine Farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Be sure to catch the Truckers Network radio show with your host, Shelley Johnson, weekdays at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on tncradio.live.
Welcome back in on a Wednesday night, tncradio.live. This is Taillights with Larry and Angie Baum.
Welcome back, guys. We've been talking with my good friend Jessica. And so we were going to talk a little bit about, now you used to haul containers and now you've made the transition into over the road. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I started hauling containers. Long story short, me and Stepan did drive together. I was in the truck with him. We were on paper logs. Stepan got in trouble one day, and they said, well, lucky for you, your wife has a Class A CDL and a fresh logbook. So I had to start driving. He did not actually know I knew how to drive before that. I was in the truck, but he didn't know I could drive with a trailer. And I didn't want to drive with him because I knew he wasn't going to pay me, but we owned 3 trucks. So I started driving one. He drove his own because he got fired from the company we were leased onto. And then we had a driver in the third one. So I drove for him for a little bit longer while our marriage went bad. And I ended up leaving. And then I went to go work with someone else. He ended up not paying me. And then I worked for a big time company that only lasted for about 7 months. I had a problem with my service dog being a pit bull. And then I went back to containers, and then the money dropped out of it. And I was home every day when I did containers. So then I had to transition to the last company I was at, which I was with for 2.5 years. And the money was great, but I had to transition from being home every night hauling containers to hauling reefer units. So it was completely different. I went from hauling a 48-foot on a normal day to all of a sudden hauling a 53-foot with a reefer. And a new truck. I had no clue about APUs. I had no clue about E-logs. I had no clue about any of that.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's a lot to get used to. The E-logs alone are a lot of work, but then the reefer unit, the reefer unit's a lot of work too.
It is. And being over the road and having to learn California, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Oklahoma, the Northeast, Chicago. Like, Chicago was a big thing for me to learn. All of that was so different than hauling containers. Containers are a lot of work. And honestly, a lot of times we do not give container haulers enough credit. Those doors get stuck. You learn to duck and open up the doors as fast as you can at the same time because a lot of the freight moves when it comes over here from overseas. Mm-hmm. You're heavy. I had an overweight permit. One time I was 99,700 on my load. I was 99,000 pounds. I cried. I'm like, I don't want to do this. It's so heavy. I cried. The whole way back from Alabama to Jacksonville, Florida, I cried. I had the overweight permit, so I was legal. But I did not want to haul that much weight. And then when I transitioned from being a container hauler to over-the-road driver, I had to learn how to slide tandems on top of it because I didn't have that fancy overweight permit. I could just hold up while I was in the scale house.
Right.
So there's a lot of changes immediately. Yes, I was still driving a truck, but it was completely different.
What do you think has been, like, for me, like right now, I'm getting ready. We just got our new super sleeper, which is ginormous, and we don't even have a trailer on the back of it. So like tomorrow I'm going to have to learn how to redrive this big old truck with a trailer because the pivot points can be completely different. What do you think has been the hardest learning curve for you being out here?
Honestly, one of the biggest learning curves is exactly what I need in this truck and exactly what I don't need in here. Because you're away from your home for so long that we want to pack it full of everything we can.
Right.
But at the same time, you cannot do that. It adds weights. It adds weights to your truck, you know, so it affects you when you go to get scaled out. And just learning to be away from home.
I think you need to have that discussion with Larry because we loaded our truck last week. I had all of our stuff, what I assumed was the essential stuff, in one carload. And we drop everything off the truck. I'm thinking we're done. No, Larry goes and gets 2 additional carloads because his philosophy is, what do you always say?
It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
So we have a lot of crap that we don't need on this truck.
See, every time I go home, every 3 to 4 weeks when I go home, I try to take something out of my truck. If I haven't used it in the past 2 to 3 weeks, it's coming out of here. I just took home a whole garbage bag full of summer clothes because I'm no longer going to need them out here.
And that's the other thing.
So,
I mean, we have to pack for almost 4 seasons because depending on where we go to, we never know what the climate or the weather is going to be like. So then, you know, you got to have your boots, your gloves, your summer clothes. You just never know. So it adds a lot.
Very true. That is very true. But we got to think about the extra weight too of what we're putting in here.
Absolutely, Larry.
I mean, Pudge is 100 pounds.
Oh,
that's already enough weight that's added.
Yeah, get Pudge off the truck. That's too much.
I probably have over 100 pounds.
Oh, yeah. He ain't going nowhere.
I'm totally kidding.
Who needs 8 pullovers?
Yeah, Larry does. So have you driven automatic and manual before?
Yes, I have. Actually, I had a small issue when I came over to this company, and I pushed back orientation, I think a week or 2 weeks it was, because I didn't want to come over here because all they had was automatics and I was used to driving a manual. And I've heard a lot of hate about people who only drive automatic, so I don't want to do it. But you know what? It's actually a blessing being in an automatic because I do have more room for the dogs. That little bit of space that stick shift takes up is a lot of room.
Right.
It's easier to maneuver in the truck. It's easier in traffic. And I still love manuals. Don't get me wrong. I still love a 13 speed. I still love a 10 speed. But right now, a lot of companies are going automatic. So you can't turn down a job just because it's automatic. But also, one thing, when you're going through CDL school, I do recommend that you do have the regular CDL, that you do not have the auto restriction. Because, like I said, I hauled containers. If I would have had an auto restriction, I would have never been a container hauler. Because a lot of those trucks are older. And back then, they didn't have the automatics. They weren't that popular back then.
Yeah.
So by getting the auto restriction, you are hurting yourself out of a job potentially, though. And a lot of people don't realize that when you have the auto restrict.
That's very true. And a prime example of that was a couple years ago. I actually hit a deer on the side of the road, and I had to wait on the side of the road for about 8 hours for them to bring me a rental truck that I was going to be using. And that rental truck was a manual, and had I not known how to drive a manual, you know, I wouldn't have been able to drive that rental truck, and then I would have been out of work until my truck got fixed. So yeah, I always tell everybody, if you're considering going to CDL school, do not get an automatic restriction.
Yes, I do know a lot of big time companies that do provide CDL school. They only have automatics, and you only test out an automatic, so therefore you're going to be an auto restriction. But you could always retake that test in a manual at any point in time. There's nothing to say you can't, and then you'll get the auto restriction off your license. So if you have gone through a big time company and got your CDL that way, and you do have the automatic restriction, you do have a chance to go ahead and get it taken off.
That's a really good piece of advice.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You just rent the truck for the day.
I suggest do it.
Yeah, it's good. I also have my tanker endorsement. I did haul tankers for my last company. I did juice about once every 6 weeks. And I didn't know what I was getting into. They told me to go get a tanker endorsement. I did. I went to go take the load, and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? The whole thing moves.
I was just going to ask this. That's one I've never done. I've never done tanker, and I've heard, the movement within the tank.
It feels like you're on a boat.
It'll push you right through the intersection.
It will. I actually got into an accident while I was driving the tanker. I got rear-ended. It took me about a quarter mile to get the truck stopped, when normally it would have took me about a 16th of a mile because of the surge that was going on. That's what they call it when the liquid's moving. Because it kept pushing me back and forth and side to side because of how hard I got hit. I was in fear I was going to roll over. So it took me a little while longer to get it stopped.
Wow.
I had to do it in a safe manner.
Yeah, that's one thing I haven't driven is I do have my tanker endorsement, but I have never driven a tanker. But I know when you and I had talked about your first experience, I was like, kind of glad I haven't I haven't had the chance to drive tanker yet because that sounds very scary.
Yeah, at the company I'm currently with, we do pull hazmat loads. They're for a soda company. I'm not going to say which one, but in order to pull those hazmat loads for the soda company, you do have to have your tanker endorsement because it's bulk liquid.
Right. And I think that's
even though it's in a reefer trailer, it's still a bulk liquid. You do have to have your hazmat and your tanker endorsement. So get as many endorsements as you can. They will help you out here in the long run.
You read my mind. That's exactly what I was getting ready to say.
Everybody that. Get every endorsement you can get.
Absolutely.
Whether you use it or not, get it on your license.
And you can get them whenever. You go and test whenever.
Absolutely. And I will say one more thing too. If you are interested in getting other endorsements on your CDL, there's a great free app that I highly recommend. It's called DMV Genie. All you have to do is put in your information for the state that you're going to take your CDL test in, and it has all the endorsement tests right there, and it'll quiz you to help you pass those tests. So we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, I have a great question for you, and I'm going to ask you, what is a piece of advice that you think you could give to a new female driver? So I'll let you think on that for a few minutes, and we'll be back here in just a few minutes with Taillights with the Baums.
As a professional driver, the engineers at Front Lane know that you remain focused on the road regardless of weather and traffic conditions. That's not always true of the drivers behind you. Every 9 minutes, another commercial vehicle is rear-ended by a driver failing to control their speed. And guess who gets the blame? When you have to brake quickly, Tailbone illuminates a series of bright red LED lights that allow the driver behind you to react up to 50% faster. Using amazing accelerometer technology and a battery that will last for years, Tailbone meets the standard set by the NHTSA and the FMCSA. Learn more by visiting www.frontlane.com/tailbone. That's www.frontlane.com/tailbone. Approved in all 50 states, it's Tailbone by Front Lane.
The infoblog on tncradio.live is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. A truck driver's guide to balancing work and home life. Truck driving's hard and demanding work. Becoming a truck driver means spending many hours and days on the road. You'll sacrifice a lot for your trucking career. For many long-haul truck drivers, it's hard to separate life at work from life at home. Learning how to have a balance between home life and work life is essential if you want to have a long-lasting career in trucking. Check out our guide to balancing work and home life for truck drivers. Get enough sleep. Getting the recommended amount of sleep each night is a rare thing for truckers. Although sleep may be difficult for truckers because of the uncomfortable way of living, it's essential to their well-being and safety. Start prioritizing sleep and make a sleep schedule. Set an alarm for a certain time and turn off all electronics and get your much-needed sleep. Not enough sleep can make life on the road miserable. Exercise often. Due to the many hours of sitting each day, truckers start to experience body pain and health issues. Not exercising and taking care of your health can cause a lot of problems in the long run. You could be out of a job and possibly out of work. Eat healthy. Having your truck stocked with healthy snacks and meals while you're on the road will help teach you how to have a healthy work-life balance. Start making it a habit to go to the grocery store before you head out on the road. Also, avoid eating at fast food restaurants and truck stops. Do not think about work when you're at home. Whether you love trucking or hate it, you've probably thought about your job while you're off the clock. It can be difficult to separate the two. Thinking about work too much while you're at home can make you anxious, sleep deprived, and put you in a bad mood. Instead of worrying about work, try picking up a new hobby or exercising. Spending time with friends and family can also get your mind off things. Make time for family. It doesn't matter if you're on the road or at home. Make time for family. Make it a priority to talk to someone in your family once a day. It can be tough for truckers, especially OTR truckers, to maintain relationships with their family due to the trucking lifestyle. Keeping in contact with your loved ones will help life on the road be less lonely. For more information, be sure to check out the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
Ready for the power of positive and something that will put you back to a time you wanted to last forever? Music is the ultimate time machine. What was your favorite time? Do you want to go back there? LTD Radio features the songs of the 70s, 80s, and 90s that will transport you to a happier time. It'll make you smile and brighten your day. We could all use that about now. TNCRadio.live is proud to carry the great music of LTD Radio.
Hey, rideshare drivers and gig economy workers, the host of TNC Radio.live, the Rideshare Rodeo Podcast, and the Gig Economy Podcast come together for news, talk, music, stories, laughs, and more. We're live Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, right here on TNC Radio.live. And welcome back in TNC Radio.live. This is Taillights with the Baums.
Welcome back. We're so glad to have you guys back. Just want to give you guys a quick reminder that the show coming up next is going to be Clutch Time Sports with Tom and Josh. So make sure you guys stick around for that. And we were talking with Jessica, and Jessica, I had a question for you before we went to the break. And it was, what is one piece of advice that you could give to a new female driver who's out there?
I actually got two big pieces of advice. The first one is, do not be afraid to ask for a spotter or ask for help. And when they try to give you advice, please do not be rude to the other driver. But there's no shame in asking for a spotter.
No.
When you're backing into a spot and you cannot see the other truck properly and it's not a straight line back. And take as many pull-ups as you can, because pull-ups are free. Hit something is not. So if it takes you 15, 20 pull-ups, don't worry about it. Don't worry about what other people think. Don't worry about who's looking at you. Do as many pull-ups as you want and take as much time as you need.
And do your goal as many times as it takes. Do not forget about
Very true. Yeah.
That's
So how often do people regret having a spotter versus how often do people regret not asking for a spotter?
That's true.
Very true.
Has anybody ever said,
Also,
"Oh, I'm so sorry, I got a spotter for that one"?
There's no shame in asking for a spotter, asking for help. If you see a driver awake and you're back into a spot close to him, go ahead, politely wave to him, knock on the door. Is there any way you could please spot me? I don't want to hit anything, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
And the best person to ask is the truck that's in your way or the one you think you're going to hit.
Yeah.
Knock on his door. Hey, man, can you help me from hitting your truck?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think that's, first of all, those are awesome pieces of advice. But the one thing I was going to say is Larry always tells me, because when I first started driving, I get so frustrated at the other drivers, right? I'm trying to back into a spotter. I'm doing a million pull-ups. And he'd always tell me, don't give a crap about what they're saying or what they're doing. You concentrate on what you're doing. But sometimes it can get hard because we know the truckers can be rude.
It does get frustrated and people are waiting and you can see them getting impatient, but you just got to focus on what you're doing and not think about what they're doing.
Absolutely.
My other piece of advice, especially as a female driver out here, stop and use the bathroom and go pee. Do not hold it all day. Do not hold it for 6 to 8 hours, and do not restrict your liquids because that will cause you long-term health problems.
No, that is so true. And I think that's another thing us women don't talk about enough. But yeah, I mean, especially because and like you said, it causes other health issues. And that's the last thing we need to be coming off the road because we're sick, because we're not taking care of ourselves. And yeah, hydration is so important.
I mean, UTIs, urinary tract infections, those hurt. So it's better to drink, the liquids. It's better to go ahead and stop every few hours and take a bathroom break. Takes you only 5 minutes, pull into a rest area, pull into a truck stop. A lot of places do sell like those portable little bathrooms that you get.
Yes.
And then they have stuff that you can put them on. You can empty them. There's other ways out here too. We're not going to go into detail on the radio show. Sure, we could do that on a diva show.
Yes.
But, drink your liquids, stop and use the bathroom. Do not hold it all day, and do not restrict your liquids because it will cause long-term health problems out here.
Now, I was going to ask you, now, because you're still a female driver, do you have any advice to women as far as, keeping themselves safe out there? Because I know, I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of women who hesitate coming into the trucking industry because they're scared about their safety coming out here as a solo driver. And so is there a piece of advice that you would say, here's what I recommend as far as, your safety out here?
Just always be aware of your surroundings. Do not have your head buried in your phone. When you're walking into the truck stop, look around, look behind you. Just be cautious. And normally it's not the other truck drivers that you got to worry about. Sometimes it is, but normally it's not. They don't always put the truck stops in the best of areas. Same thing with rest areas,
Mm-hmm.
So just be very cautious of your surroundings. Like if I'm driving at nighttime and I got to stop and use the restroom, I will pull up on the fuel island to the white line. I will run and use the restroom and run back out to my truck.
Yeah, and that's a super good point because I think oftentimes women think that it's the truck drivers that are causing issues with other women. And to be quite honest with you, in my personal opinion and the opinion of many of the women I know, I would say 95% of the men out here are pretty darn respectful. They do look out for us, especially because we are women. But you're right. A lot of the truck stops and rest areas are not in good locations. So then you have the outside public and the homeless that do come in. And those are usually the ones that cause most of the issues.
And a lot of times if I'm fueling at nighttime, I try to get the first or the second pump. I do know that Love's has, I want to say it's Love's or it's Love's. They have cameras on the fuel island right at the pumps. I try to pick the first or second pump, so I'm very close to the door, just in case something does happen. I can yell. Hopefully someone does hear me, and someone has a better view of me. If you're at the first or second pump at nighttime, someone's almost always walking past you, People can see you. So it's a safety thing.
I was going to say, one of the things is that, you do also cook from your truck because you've actually been sharing some recipes with me.
Yes, I do.
Your George Foreman grill and stuff. But I know, one of the things we've both been trying to do over the last year, and you're doing it way better than me, is just eating healthier, trying to drink more water. And, what's like your favorite thing to cook on the truck so that you don't have to, constantly be eating truck stop food?
I actually I got to put my Instant Pot back in here, but I love making roast because you can make enough for 2 or 3 days. And that way, when you're busy, you can just heat it up in the microwave, eat it, go to sleep if you only have 5-10 minutes and you need to get to bed. A roast is one of the favorite things, easy to do. Put it in the Instant Pot in the slow cook, put it on the floor inside a milk crate, so don't dump over while you're driving. And it can be cooking while you're going down the road. It doesn't take a lot of time.
Oh my gosh. And by the time you get done driving, it's the most amazing thing.
Mm-hmm. It is. The only problem is you got to smell the roast all day cooking, and it makes you hungry while you're driving throughout the day.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, we're getting ready to close the show down, but a couple things I wanted to bring up. One, again, how can everybody find you on TikTok if they wanted to follow you? What's your username?
TikTok is a Hurricane Bunny 1.
And secondly, what is the name of your Facebook page in case people wanted to follow you in the doggy's journey?
Trucking with Jess, Pudge, and Wiggles.
Okay. And also, I wanted to bring up that Jessica is now one of our hosts on Trucker Safety Divas, and we have shows every Saturday night, and we're actually starting back up this Saturday And so I'm super excited about Jessica joining us because we're going to be talking about all kinds of trucking topics that have to do with men and women. And starting in October, we're doing breast cancer awareness. So it's going to be some good fun.
Where can they find you divas?
You can find Jess and me and Terry. A lot of you guys know Terry. She's been on our show a few times. She was actually on Tom's show a few minutes ago. You can find us on Facebook. It's Trucking Safety Divas.
Yep. It's a good informational page to join, especially for newer drivers, women who've been out here, women who are getting back into the trucking industry. It's definitely very helpful.
Yes, and we encourage anybody who's a trucker, trucker's wife, trucker's girlfriend, or if you just have a family member that's a truckers. But it is an all-women's group. However, the show is open for everybody. You guys can all come watch the show and comment and join in. So we appreciate y'all. And also, Jessica does live stream on the Truckers View on Facebook also, so you can see Jess, Pug, Whittles, and see them all out there on the road.
Yep. And I just want to finish up by saying, thank you, drivers, for all you do. Happy Driver Appreciation Week. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Jess has been busy out there handing out gift cards and telling drivers thank you. And I've got to get started on doing that this week. I'm behind. Jess is ahead.
Yes. I'll keep you up on it. Don't worry.
Thank you. I want to remind everybody that you can find Larry and I on Facebook. We are married, the number 2, the road. We also do live stream on the Truckers View, also on Facebook. And we also want to remind you guys, don't forget to listen to our show on Sunday night, House of the Driver. It's Tom, Larry, and myself. And we talk everything football and House of the Dragon. So if you're a House of the Dragon fan from HBO, please be sure to check out our show on Sunday night. Thank you again, Jess. You have been awesome. And I hope you'll come back and join us again.
Thank you. It's nice for you guys to have me on the show. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And don't forget to join us back here next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central for Taillights with the Baums. You guys have a safe week and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody. Be safe
Bye,
out
everybody.
there. Safe
Bye,
out
everybody.
There. Safe
Bye,
out